Welcome, everybody, to Trojan Call-In Show. We will not be the last, but we are definitely the first to have a fully USC caller-driven show. So remember this. You guys, you bring your topics. Matt and I have things we want to talk about, but we want to hear what you out there in Trojan land are thinking about USC Trojan. We got some Trojans in the NFL Combine. Really quickly creeping up is going to be the spring camp, so we can go into some ideas with there as well. The NCAA is trying to ruin a bunch of clock rules again, like they did last year. They're trying to make it into NFL Junior. All those topics are on the table, but as always, I have my editor, Matt Zemek, here from Trojans Wire. Matt, how are you doing tonight?
Doing okay. It's certainly interesting times with, the football playoff stuff and the football rule or policy changes. That's a lot to digest for this week. So a little meat on the bone for this March, pre-spring ball off-season episode of our call-in show.
Yeah. So as always, you guys, I have I'll put the number up for you guys right now, but you guys are the ones that run this show. Those are just our ideas that we'll be discussing if we get 0 phone calls. But we are open for any and all calls from you guys. Feel free to give us a call. Again, a lot going on with the NFL Combine. Clock rules. Is college football turning into NFL Junior? And if it does, what's going to happen to the future of college football with that? I'd love to hear what your thoughts might be. Well, Matt, let's talk about it. Let's start off, since we don't have any calls. Why don't we talk about the NFL Combine? You just discussed something really quickly with me. Why don't you share that with the viewers?
Yeah, so, just following the USC beat writers and what's going on at the Combine as they follow USC's Combine prospects. Lots of chatter that Kalen Bullock, who's been a safety, is going to get a look at corner from some NFL teams. They're going to try him out, or at least they're going to study, putting Kalen Bullock at corner. And it's just the reverse for Christian Roland Wallace, that there's a growing sense that, Roland Wallace, a corner, might be a safety in the NFL. So doesn't that raise some questions, right? Doesn't that tell you about the inability of Alex Grinch and Dante Williams to find the right fits, coach players properly? If these guys are, going to be switching roles, and obviously they spent the past year, in one spot, and now in the NFL, whoopsie, they're going to be in another spot. I mean, doesn't that say it all? And so we're not trying to harp on Alex Grinch or Dante Williams. It's just this is newsworthy chatter from the NFL Combine. So that's the fresh part. And of course, it leads us back to, God, what were these guys doing in 2023 with this defense? And it also shows that, the new sheriffs in town, the new guys that are coming in, you would think that they're going to find the right role, the right fit, the right focus, for these USC players. And, Tim, I'm continuing to watch. I watched it once. I then watched it again, the press conference with all the new defensive coaches, because there's so much, right? All the guys made the rounds. There's so much to digest, so much to take in. So this past week, I watched the Matt Entz segment a little bit more. And gosh, this is just so refreshing. Entz is so clear in saying you fit your scheme to the personnel and you fit your teaching style to each athlete. You don't impose a framework on your players. You learn about them. How do they learn? How do they receive information? How do they process various data points? Do they learn visually? Do they learn, in different ways? What's the best way to get through to them, to convey information to them that they will be receptive to and that they can then apply? Just love the way Matt Entz is going about his business. And it's something that's shared by the other guys on the staff, from that press conference. They all are united in saying we need to teach effectively, we need to communicate clearly, and we need to present information in ways that the player will receive it naturally, fluidly, easily. They are conscious of, how do we get this concept across to the player in a way that it'll go down smoothly for the player. I mean, like, we didn't see that last year with all the confusion, the uncertainty, the hesitancy. If you're communicating clearly, you don't have the confusion that we saw so consistently and persistently on that USC defense. So anyway, circling back, like if NFL teams, NFL orgs think that Kalen Bullock, no, actually, we'll put you at corner, and Christian Rowan Wallace, no, actually, we think you're better at safety than cornerback. It just reaffirms how mismatched and out of place everything was a year ago.
And we have a caller online, but before I get you a caller, I'll bring that up. When you look at both of them, one looks like a corner. Well, one looks like a very tall, rangy, lanky corner, and the other one looks like a safety. I remember everyone talking about when Christian Rowan Wallace came over about just how jacked this dude was, right? And he's playing corner, etc. Blah blah. Well, yeah, you look at him; he looks like he could be a linebacker. So I mean, when you think of guy runs like a corner and is built like a linebacker. I wonder what position we probably should play him at. Maybe a nickel or a safety, possibly. Who knows, right? Even a box safety. I mean, yeah, you have. There were a lot of personnel things that people are scratching their heads. None more than at linebacker with whatever they were doing at linebacker. That's why I'm glad to talk about Ents. But we'll hold that thought. We'll come back to this in a minute. But we do have a caller. Caller, thank you so much for calling in. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is from Jane Point.
Uh-oh. You know what? We may be using uh-oh. We're having some serious audio issues. We're having some issues actually on Mark's show, and now we're having the same kind of issue here. I think we might be going to StreamYard only. Are you there?
I'm here. If you want me to call in again.
Yeah, I think I'm going to drop a link. Are you able to take links from in the chat and join us in StreamYard?
I don't know how to do that. Don't worry about it. I'll just hang up and maybe later.
Man, I'm very sorry. Very sorry about that. Yeah, I'm going to have to sort out what's going on with the audio. I appreciate you calling in, though. Very, very much.
Yeah, I'll drop it.
All right, thank you.
The ghost of Christmas past.
Yeah, we had this. I had this problem before, and now all of a sudden I'm having it again with the it was the last show. It was cutting out. We thought it was a caller, Matt, but it clearly wasn't the caller. It must be the actual audio. But I think it's coming through our phone system. Actually, it's not because I made a phone call to check this as I always do, and it was crystal clear. Oh, come on, guys. No. Matt, no.
Come on, we need to laugh at ourselves, not take this too seriously.
So let's go back to the NFL really quick. And so there was some kind of, like you said, it's kind of weird how they could have mixed up the personnel as badly as they did, because everyone I know and respected that follows USC football, we're just constantly talking about the fact that the personnel decisions were absolute head scratchers. And now with you talking about this, with the fact that you have a guy that looks like a corner playing corner and a guy that looks like a safety playing safety, that's quite an indictment on what was going on the defensive side of the ball. Lumancy, thank you so much for the super chat. Not just that, but again, for being on all of Mark's channels, and also being a big supporter of this show. Go Hawks. I know you're an Iowa fan. Discovered that Coach Snider, Kansas State and Hawkeye fame, was a graduate student and learned under the great John McKay. Small coaching world. I did not know that. Did you know that? I think I did. No, this is one of the things I thought I knew about.
I mean, I associate Bill Snider with that 1985 Hayden Fry Iowa staff, which is, in my mind, the greatest college football coaching staff ever assembled. Now, USC fans will say 1979. Paul Hackett, Norv Turner, Hudson Houck. That was a great staff, to be sure. But 1985 Iowa, you stack that up against any other staff, that's still number one in my book. Barry Alvarez, Bill Snider, Kirk Ferentz, Bob Stoops, like those are four heavy home run hitters right there. So that's my that's where I attached Bill Snider. It was so fascinating that John McCabe was part of his developmental process. Surprised about that, and I'm going to be looking that up now.
That is interesting. That is very interesting, and appreciate that. You guys, I wouldn't drop the link in the chat. Very sorry about the phone lines. Again, it's not the soundboard, it's not the phone. It appears to be our calling service, because I'm not giving my personal cell phone number out, as much as I love all you guys. So we go through a phone system for the number. It seems like that is having some issues. I'm going to try to reset it on the other side.
And hey, Gary from Dana Point, thank you for that super sticker. Really, really appreciate your support. You are awesome, as always. And I noticed someone in the chat, I believe it was Roger Dodger, wondering what Kalen Bullock's dash time was at the combine, 4.49.
Yeah, and then there's also another question here. Any running back news? A lot of the USC sites are reporting that Anthony Jones Jr., who's the current running backs coach at TCU, has talked about USC for the hoping. The obvious connection here is, you guys, I know he went over to Clemson. He had Garrett Riley at TCU. Matt, so there is that is a connection. I don't know exactly how strong. Obviously, at this point, there's lots of agents and people saying there's conversations going on. It looks like one thing we do know about USC is we never know who USC is going to hire. Yes, they're interviewing a bunch of people, but so far on literally almost every level, we've been blindsided with whatever hire it is. So who knows? Maybe this will just one more smokescreen being lifted out there. I have no idea. Matt, any ideas on that?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, again, our StreamYard is there. You do not have to turn your camera on, or you can give it a try. Oh, that's not a bad idea. But then, Brian, see, the thing is, if I'm calling you, then everyone I call has my phone number. And the funny thing is, by the way, there's been some times where I've accidentally left the phone system on, and so I'm getting calls like, no, I'm not kidding. One time it was 2:00 in the morning, because some people, they watch the show on replay and they think it's live. And so they call in on the call-in number, and I haven't shut it down here on the computer end. And it literally comes straight through to my phone. And so I've taken, it's funny, I've had some calls with Oklahoma fans. I've had a couple of Trojan fans call in after the fact. But I would not be very comfortable, sorry, you guys, giving out my personal phone number to you guys. No, who knows? Maybe I could try doing the *6. What is it? *867? I can't remember what it used to be. Someone put in the chat. Maybe we'll try that as well. Oh, Adam's a brave soul. Let's see. Adam's giving it a go here. Adam, thanks for calling. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, can you hear me?
One more time.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah. See, there's definitely something.
Hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but it's really the audio is really messed up. Hang on one second, Adam. I'm gonna call you right back. I don't mind if you have my number, Adam. I trust you. Here we go.
Well, let's take Adam's super sticker. And Adam, thank you for the super sticker. Very generous as always. Adam,
hey.
Jen Cohen.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Matt.
Jen Cohen is not responsible for this 2024 schedule. If she didn't make that and she didn't lead USC to the Big Ten, Mike Bone did, if we're just going to be direct about that. So like Jen Cohen does not bear the responsibility for this year's Big Ten schedule. So that's why I'm not calling her out.
Care. That's a fair. Then there's the responsibility for the absolute disgrace schedule.
All right.
Make it all possible in playoffs.
Hang on, Adam. I'm sorry. There's something really bizarre going on with the phone system tonight. Adam, I'm gonna drop the link. I know you've done it before. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. Go ahead and join us. Join us in the chat. Yeah, I'm so sorry, Adam. I've got no idea what's going on. It's almost like
it's actually hilarious to have sports talk with Darth Vader.
Whatever it is.
About the Trojans this season. How will they fare in the Big Ten?
Oh my God.
It is. I cannot figure it out. No, Mark, I know we might go viral, but I think for my sanity, it's Friday. I've worked a full work week. This is my second college show. And I'll give you the therapy bills if I have to try to decipher what's going on the other side of this phone system. So, why don't we do it this way? What we're going to do is I'm going to one more time. I'm going to drop the phone link. The StreamYard link, and we will do it the old-fashioned way, and we will take StreamYard. And then again, Adam, I got you. If you have, everyone has the option. Adam has your camera on. If you want to come in, you're coming in on camera. So just give you a heads up. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to come on camera. If not, you guys could always turn off your camera. It's up to you. I'll leave that option to you guys. Adam, give me a thumbs up. You good with camera? I think you are. Adam, can you hear me? I'm bringing you on. Are you chatting in the private chat? Okay, yeah, he's fine. Okay, here we go. What's up, Adam? How you doing?
Hey guys, how you doing?
All right.
Doing good, Adam.
All right,
this
thanks
works.
for having me on. I won't take too much of your time, but great to see you. Always a great show, by the way. You guys are really smart and give really incisive analysis, and I appreciate that. The first thing I would say is USC Baseball is an absolute disgrace. 2-7 is completely unacceptable, and the loss to TCU today was just terrible. So I don't know what's going on. I mean, Andy Stankiewicz, I'm a New York Yankees fan, so I used to watch Stankiewicz play in New York when he was playing for the Yankees. And he's a good guy and he's a good coach, but there's something going on with USC Baseball. I'm not sure if it's our recruiting where we're not getting the guys that we need, but certainly there's issues with our offense. As far as football goes, Matt, why are we having a schedule with these kinds of teams on it where we're flying across the country 3 times and we're playing Michigan, LSU, Penn State, Wisconsin, UCLA, Notre Dame? This is crazy. I mean, I understand competition is important, but this kind of competition puts us at a competitive disadvantage. And I don't think that USC made the right call here. And I was just wondering what your thoughts were on USC baseball and the scheduling and the future for USC football.
I'm going to let Tim field questions about USC baseball.
By the way, destroying Deamo is blasphemy, Tim. I apologize. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we touched on it a little bit, but again, I brought up the analogy. You got to break some eggs, to make an omelet at some point. I mean, I get you. Listen, you're talking to a guy who was like this big when he used to run and fall down that ramp at Deamo. My dad went to, I don't know how many master's degrees he got. I literally grew up on the campus, and I've spent many a day on there and many an afternoon, with my biology book in my lap and studying while I'm watching baseball. So trust me, that place was like a church to me as well. Any place that has like 12 national championships to it, 5 in a row at one point, under Deamo, it is hard to see. But we've been crying about getting a football facility that's going to be on parallel with the top schools in the country. There's got to be some give and take, Adam, and we're not in the middle of, Eugene. There's only a finite amount of space on the campus in Southern California. And, basically down, everyone calls it South Central. It's basically downtown LA. I mean, it was literally a couple of miles from downtown, the center of downtown LA. So that real estate's very expensive, and squeezing all this stuff in, there was going to have to be this. Also, part of the reason for this is they're doing something for the Olympics for the swim stadium as well. So it's all kind of wrapped in together, and it's getting a facelift. As beautiful and as much as it was as a church, for us baseball fans, it was getting a bit old too. And so maybe you're talking about recruiting. Maybe a snazzy new stadiums is exactly what they need to try to pull in some new recruits. I don't know. I'm spitballing on that, but I will tell you that as far as the team goes, it seems like it's not like the offense's issue. They put up 8 points today, 9 runs, 9 runs. I can't remember, but they got out to a lead. It just
lost 9-8.
They lost 9-8. So they scored 8 runs. It's not like the offense is not there, right? It looks like also, I think that they've been having issues with the closers, with their bullpen, and which is very important in college baseball. It's much different than they really get a lot more use out of that bullpen than you would in Major League Baseball. So I think the issue today was clearly the pitching. You get 9 runs. The pitching's got to get better. That'd be my short story on that. Matt?
And so as for the Big Ten schedule, Adam, look, I am with you. I want January 1st in the Arroyo Seco in the shadows of the San Gabriel Mountains to be the Big Ten and the Pac-12 as nature intended. I'm with you. That's the way it's supposed to be. And I'm really, really sad we're not going to have that. Like, it sucks. And all the forces that we're seeing right now, like the inmates are running the asylum. There are no adults in the room. It's bad. But the point I would make is that USC did not leave the Pac-12 so much as the Pac-12 made things untenable for USC. Like, I want to watch this USC women's basketball team, which has a chance to be a #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. I want to watch this team. I want to watch Juju Watkins, but it's on Pac-12 Network, and all their games are basically black holed, and I cannot wait to have Big Ten Network carrying USC women's basketball games next year. I'll be able to watch this friggin' team, but I can't. Thank God the NCAA tournament, the women's NCAA tournament, will be on the ESPN family of networks. I'll actually be able to see this team, but I can't. I have DirecTV, so I am absolutely out of luck with being able to watch this amazing USC women's basketball team. And so, with this clown car reality and what Larry Scott and the CEO group and George Kliavkoff did to run this conference into the ground, like, USC didn't have much of a choice. It really wasn't that much of a choice in retrospect. In the summer of 2022, when that move happened, it was an earthquake. But really, several years earlier, 2018, Larry Scott could have handed over the keys to ESPN, manage our conference, manage our football inventory. We'll give up a little bit of exclusivity, but we're going to give it over to you. You can run the show because we want to preserve the conference for the long term. We want to have you, ESPN, as a partner. The Pac-12 brass just did not handle ESPN properly. They did not realize the value of having ESPN as a partner, given that ESPN, as we're seeing, runs college football and is basically, tailoring everything to the SEC, as we saw in the playoff last year with Texas. I mean, Texas not in the SEC in 2023, but it's going to be in the SEC. So, of course, Texas was going to get in. And, of course, Alabama was going to get in. Imagine if the Pac-12 played ball with ESPN in 2018 when it had a chance to move away from the Pac-12 network setup and say, you know what, we tried to do this our own. We tried to keep it all in-house, but you know what, we failed. We need ESPN to take over. And, you can hate ESPN behind closed doors. You can not like in private what ESPN might be doing to the sport, but you need money for your schools. You need your conference to be viable. And here's the other thing. The Pac-12 never did want to give USC an extra revenue share to stay in the conference. Instead of, kissing the ring and genuflecting before USC, realizing USC's presence as the bell cow in the Pac-12, the program that's done the bulk of the heavy lifting over a longer period of time. Nope, the CEO group would not kiss the ring. And so if you're USC and you have this boatload of Big Ten money and you have much better television exposure coming your way on multiple networks, it's not that much of a choice. So are you going to have a tougher road to the playoff and the national championship? Yes. But if you're USC, you try to hire the guys who are going to be able to do that, because at USC, you insist on excellence and nothing but. You try to do it all at USC. You try to have the elite coaching staff and football program, and you try to get in as much television money, and you try and get as much exposure. You try to do everything. You don't settle for less. So in many ways, Adam, I come back to the simple point that it wasn't so much that USC might have technically left the Pac-12, but the Pac-12 in essence pushed out USC, and we should never frame or characterize the reality as anything other than that.
And I will remind you, yes, we have a bad. I wouldn't call it a bad schedule. I'd call it a tough schedule.
I'm sorry.
Well, no, sorry. I wouldn't call it bad. It's a tough schedule that USC is going. But look at the rest of the Big Ten Conference. It's not like we're the only one with a difficult schedule. I mean, look at Michigan's schedule. They're playing. Wait, they play Ohio State and Texas, right? Am I right? Ohio State, Texas, and USC. I mean, and remember, we have Notre Dame. We have Notre Dame at home. But the flip side is, Adam, would you rather be hanging out with Washington State, Oregon State right now, just trying to keep the Pac-12 afloat, or do you want to go over to the Big 12 like the Arizona schools did, and Utah and Colorado? Given the three options, I'm going to the Big 10 out of 10 times, because quite frankly, USC belongs in a conference like the Big 10 and not what the Pac-12 turned into.
Yeah, and I'll just take 30 seconds and then I'll be off. But the only thing I would say in response is, number one, why can't we go independent? Number two, and I've criticized Lincoln Riley, but what's fair is fair. You cannot criticize Riley for having 4 losses with a schedule like this. This is very difficult, and Riley shouldn't bear the blame if we go 8-4. And the last thing I'll say is, Tim, do you remember? I mean, when I went to USC, Mike Gillespie was the coach. Randy Flores was the number 1 pitcher. Jeff Jenkins was a rock star. Gabe Alvarez was starting shortstop. What's happened to our program? And I worry that football is going down that same path. But I don't want to take any more of your time. Thank you so much for having me on, guys, and have a great weekend.
Great, yeah, great call. But USC does have that tradition. Great call, Adam, as always. USC has a great baseball tradition. There's USC has 12 championships. Who was the next most? But 7,
LSU
8?
was 7.
LSU 7. So 7. I mean, getting that 7th, until they got that 7th fairly recently, that they were at
last
half,
year,
right? That was half of what we had. Literally half of the next most had half as many as USC. So our tradition is solid in baseball. The problem is a lot of it also has to do with, I believe, Matt, you can correct me on this, but it has to do with scholarships. The scholarship limits on baseball and half scholarships. USC is trust me, USC is a very expensive school to go to. And so if you're not getting that full ride, it's kind of hard. That's why you see a lot of those Cal State Fullerton teams, right? The UC Irvine teams, UCLA baseball, that they've kind of picked up some of the slack, or Oregon State baseball. These programs have kind of capitalized on the fact that they don't have the tuition that USC has, and quite frankly, coaching. Letting Savage get away. I mean, you can go to a million reasons why USC's baseball is in the situation it is. However, let's give Stankiewicz, this is only his 2nd season, you guys, that he was rebuilding from a pretty rough stretch that USC had before he got on board. Had a really great season last year, just missed the regionals. Let's just see how this year plays out. It has been a rough start. The bats haven't really woken up yet. And again, the middle relief and this relief pitching has been pretty poor. You want to read that one, Matt? Sorry, I can't really see the screen right now because I got 10 things on the screen.
So from Gary and Dana Point, everybody in the Big 10 has a tough schedule because they have to play USC. And I would just mention more broadly that you have 18 teams in the Big 10, and you don't have the split division schedules. So Wisconsin and Iowa, they had that Big 10 West carve out, which meant that they got to play Minnesota and Illinois and Purdue and Nebraska on a regular basis. They don't have that. So it's not as though USC's getting a tougher schedule alone or uniquely. Everyone has a tougher schedule because now you don't have the divisions in the Big 10. So those Big 10 West schools, they are all going to be playing markedly tougher schedules in future seasons. And, so Michigan and Ohio State, you could say that they have a slightly easier schedule now that they'll be playing more of those Big 10 West schools, but Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, yeah, they do have to play USC. I think that's where Gary from Dana Point's comment is particularly accurate, that Michigan, Ohio State, USC, it's going to be hard for all of them, not just USC.
Okay. And then we have someone in the background. Jackson, you're good. No, Jackson's not shy. He's not camera shy. How you doing, Jackson? What's going on tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, gents. How you doing tonight?
All right. How's the Jacksonian going?
Oh, it's going pretty good. Getting close to episode 30 and getting closer and closer to episode 50. Every day I'm hustling and hustling. That's for sure.
Who was your most recent guest on the Jacksonian?
It was JR from the Big Ten huddle. Yeah.
Pretty topical and timely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially with what was going on in the bubble watch and Michigan State, I mean, it was like, well, if it were anybody else, we wouldn't be discussing Michigan State if they were anybody else. But in all seriousness, how's it going in Conquest call-in tonight, gents?
Well, technology's been kicking our butt the last few weeks, but I know Tim, is going to figure this out eventually. So that's part of it. But it's interesting. It certainly is interesting that Michigan State could be going to Dayton for the first four. That's certainly an interesting plot point. But hey, Jackson, what do you have for us with USC football? Because I know that's what our viewers here on the Voice of College Football want to know. What's your main USC football thought right now?
Do you think that Miller Moss will be like the next out of nowhere Heisman Trophy candidate, like possibly win the Heisman Trophy? Because I've seen what Lincoln Riley's done with Jalen Hurts, for example. Nobody had him as a Heisman candidate 2019, but then had it not been for Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts would have been our Heisman winner.
Good question. Obviously, a lot of USC fans are high on Miller Moss, and I would say, I am not I'm a Miller Moss believer, but like I'm not a Miller Moss zealot, if that makes any sense. Like, I'm not convinced he's going to have a spectacular year, but I think he'll have a good year, and I think he'll have a good year, and I think USC will have a good year. Not so much because I think Miller Moss is uniquely brilliant. I wouldn't say that. I think that the key factor with Miller Moss, Jackson, is that his teammates will go to the wall for him. His teammates will play really hard for him. And I've made the comparison, since the end of the USC season, since the Holiday Bowl against Louisville. I made the point that with Caleb Williams, and this is not a knock on Caleb Williams. It's just that because Caleb Williams showed us so many times in in 1.5, 2 seasons at USC that he could be Harry Houdini. He could rescue a broken play. Pocket could break down. He'll spin around a few times. He'll have that sixth sense, feeling backside pressure, and he'll make just the most amazing, eye-popping, artful play. Because Caleb Williams had that Superman-like quality, it was just easy for teammates to say, oh, Caleb's going to save the play. If a play breaks down, Caleb will save it. And that's not an indictment of his teammates' work ethic, focus, talent, anything. It's just like, that's just a natural human instinct. It is human nature that when you have a superstar level player, you're going to just ball watch a little bit. You're going to turn into a spectator at times, and you're just going to inwardly think Caleb will find a way. I mean, like, that's not even a bad instinct to have. But the thing is that in football, you need all 11, fully equally locked in. And the thing that Miller Moss provided in the Holiday Bowl, and we could all see it very clearly, you had 10 guys who knew, we have to do our job, because Miller Moss is not Caleb Williams. He's not a guy who's going to rescue everything. We need to do our job to make sure Miller Moss is in a good position, that he's in a position to succeed. And so you had 11 guys all pulling together, not because Caleb was a bad teammate. And I made note of Fight on Rusty's excellent thread about how great a teammate Caleb Williams is. You all need to read that thread and also some of the replies to it. It wasn't that Caleb was a deficient teammate. It's that everyone, the other 10 teammates, didn't fall into the trap of thinking, oh, just Caleb's going to save the day. The other 10 teammates knew they had to max out at their position, their assignment, to help Miller Moss. So that's why I think Miller Moss is going to do well, because those other 10 teammates, they're going to go to the wall for him. And that's such a big selling point. It's such a big positive. If the offensive line plays for Miller Moss throughout the 2024 season the way it played against Louisville, which had a good defense, that was not a bad defense. in the Holiday Bowl. That's what's going to make USC a playoff team. It's Miller Moss and the 10 teammates that are just going to go to the absolute limit for him. That's what I think is going to make Miller Moss a successful quarterback at USC.
Well, Tim's muted.
All right, I was taking a call. I tried one more time with the Lurch phone, and the Lurch phone came out again. So the Lurch phone won. I just great points.
Christmas Future for a moment.
It was pretty creepy. Great points, Matt. You know, and it kind of started falling apart pretty early on. Actually, even before the season started. Tarquin and Ethan White were teammates at Florida that were coming over. Ethan White just medically retired, big, gigantic guard that was being counted on. For whatever reason, just Kingston and Tarquin and the rest of that line just didn't gel, you know, and then it was kind of just a patchwork. Then losing Gino Quinones, that was a major issue. That offensive line was just kind of a mess from the get-go, and just never could put together. It just seemed like Caleb, because of how poorly it all snowballed. Because our defense played so poorly, Caleb and the offense were pressing. They thought they had to score on every single play, and it just snowballed into a mess. But then you saw it kind of simplify and get better. The defense played better in the bowl game, which allowed Miller Moss to go out there with a heck of a lot. I'll tell you what Miller Moss does not have as far as Caleb's, like, maybe his athleticism. And this is not a knock on Caleb's leadership. That kid's confidence, when I say kid, I thought Miller Moss, his confidence in the way he spoke leading up to that game. And even when he spoke about how he doesn't care who comes in the spring, he's going to compete for that starting QB1 position. All of those things just show you who this guy's made of, right? And the fact that he showed the command of Brian Jobbins is a great point. You know, Moss knows this offense. This is his third spring he's had in Lincoln Riley's offense. So he absolutely knows this offense. Your wild cards are going to be, and I've been raving about, you know, our offensive line. Page, you know, what kind of left tackle is Elijah Page going to emerge into being, right? Can we move, you know, and which is going to be the move, you know, can we move these pieces around and fill the young guys enough to have a solid line where Miller is going to have more time than he even had in the bowl game? Because Miller showed like you said, he knows the offense and he can get the ball out on schedule. Let Riley's offense purr. We have the players. We have the running backs. I just wrote about Quentin Joyner. You know, we got Woody Marks coming in. Those guys are two great running backs. I think they're going to have a great season. USC should do well. So with a solid running game, to answer your question, I think he will be a Heisman candidate. At the end of the day, will USC win enough? And will he have the numbers, you know, the overwhelming wow numbers, because we're going to have some losses in order to get there? I think he's got to share. Any quarterback in this system has a chance to be there in New York. Let's put it that way.
Especially Lincoln Riley quarterbacks. I am ready to see what happens in week 1. I think that LSU defense will need a lot of luck. I mean, I'm not trying to count the chickens before they're hatched.
Well, Jackson, I mean, you're an Alabama guy, so obviously studying LSU, that's pretty important for you. How much, if at all, has LSU retooled its Swiss cheese secondary from last season? How much better do you think LSU's secondary is going to be? Do you think it's not going to be much better at all, or do you think LSU has made some upgrades?
I don't think it's going to be quite as improved as USC's defense in 2024. But right now, we're on wait and see mode for that.
So you don't think LSU's taken like some big steps forward, that maybe some slight upgrades, but nothing really substantial at this point?
At this point, I don't at the moment.
From your lips to God's ears.
Oh, good luck to Caleb.
I will say, though, thing with Brian Kelly is he always wins the big regular season games, but he can't get it done in the postseason. And no, the Relia Quest Bowl doesn't count.
Yeah, that's never a big game.
No, it's not.
Well, listen, good luck, Jackson, to your Tide this year and Kalen DeBoer. We'll have to talk about later on in the offseason. We'll talk about your thoughts on that. Love to hear what you think about the ex-Husky coach will do in Tuscaloosa. That should be interesting. but appreciate you calling as always. And thanks again for supporting the show.
Oh, thank you for having me on. I greatly look forward to discussing Kalen DeBoer with you gents.
Awesome. All right. Take care.
You too. Stay safe, stay warm. It's cold out.
Well, we have another caller. I tried this. We're going to go low tech, old school. And so if you guys, the phone lines are open. I'll do what I did last week. I honestly have no idea what's going on with this phone line. Maybe we need a new phone system. So hope not. Caller, actually, I know who you are. Will, how you doing? Thanks for calling in.
I'm doing pretty good. How's it going, guys?
Doing well. What are your thoughts about USC football tonight?
USC. So, what do you guys rank? I mean, obviously, you guys have a couple of tough games. What would you guys rank the top, 5 toughest games in order if you guys had to?
You want to go first, Matt, or you want me to go? The first 3 are pretty easy, I think.
Well, I don't know about in order, but LSU, Michigan, Penn State, Notre Dame, Washington.
Yeah.
Those are the 5 games that stand out. In terms of ranking them, at Michigan's the hardest. Can safely say that.
Yeah, just venue alone. That one's on the road. Notre Dame, but we have Notre Dame at home, so I think that's going to move that one down, a rung. At Penn State, we also have at home. A lot of it has to do with the venue, right, Matt? I mean, I don't know exactly what Michigan has coming back. I'm sure the thousands of Michigan Wolverine fans that are in the chat are going to let me know, but I think everyone, is really going to be feeling out new coaches, new quarterbacks. Look at USC. I was just looking the other day. I was looking at the USC receiving core, and thank God we had a great bumper crop of freshmen last year that came in. But I mean, I started looking. Brendan Rice is gone. Mario Williams is gone. Michael Jackson III is gone. Taj Washington is gone. Dorian Singer gone. All those guys are gone. And you can look around at all the teams we just named. Maybe you could fill us in. What's missing from the Notre Dame teams is going to give USC that would be giving USC trouble?
Well, we got a lot of guys. We got some pretty high-level receivers in the portal. I have question marks about the linebacker and the O-line, but there's I think we'll be all right, especially at linebacker. O-line, Joe Rudolph is a little unproven as the O-line coach. And I would say, Riley at quarterback's going to do well, but it's how good can Riley be? How much better of a passer can quarterback coach Gino Guidugli and Mike Denbrock make him? So, quarterback's kind of a question mark. We know, baseline, Riley's going to do a decent job, but if Gino can coach him up well and make him, as the other passer as Jay Daniels, then it's just a big factor on how successful the Irish are going to be. Yeah, also O-line, the question marks are probably the biggest thing for me.
Okay. And so you're excited about Mike Denbrock coming back to Notre Dame, correct?
Yeah. He was assistant for Ty, coordinator for Kelly, now coordinator for Freeman. So I'm excited. I'm really excited that we'll finally have 2 top 5 coordinators in both with Golden as defensive coordinator and Denbrock as offensive coordinator. Yeah,
that just goes back into my theme. I was talking about the fact that new players all over the place, new starting. How many? That'd be a good article, Matt. How many actual returning quarterbacks is USC going to face this year that were the quarterbacks of their team last year? So they're obviously Washington's breaking someone new in. Notre Dame, someone's new. LSU has somebody that's new. I guess you get all the way down to Penn State before you finally have somebody who's be returning their quarterback.
You wrote an article at Trojans Wire about 2/3 of the Big Ten having new quarterbacks.
A lot. We should count down though, specifically the exact ones. So yeah.
Well, yeah. That's a listicle for you to do in March.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, I can't really hear Matt, so I'm gonna take off. But thanks for having me on, guys.
I know that's definitely that would definitely be an issue. Thank you so much for calling in. Oh, I didn't think about that foot. So you could hear him, Matt. I could hear him, and he can hear me, but the caller won't be able to hear you. There you go. There's the breakdown. So much for experience. All right, thanks for calling in. Appreciate you, Will.
Sam, thanks, Matt.
All right. Well, I got some homework to do. Not that I didn't have anything else better to do, but this week I just gonna have to I'm gonna research again and find out a nice call line that actually works.
Hey, you have until late August, Tim. No rush.
Yeah, well, we got a show next Friday. Come on. The off season, there is no off season for USC football, and definitely not here on the Conquest call-in show. So,
well, I mean, we can work with imperfections in the off season, but when it's game week, we have to be rocking and rolling for sure.
We have spring ball coming up very soon.
Yep.
There's gonna be a lot of content going up on Trojans Wire. You guys make sure you check us out every single day. Matt and I will, both Matts and I will be trying to get out as much information to you guys as possible. You're going to have the combine. I'm sure there's some interesting nuggets from the combine coming up this weekend. I cover baseball and basketball as well. So make sure, and Matt, you've been doing a great job covering the women's basketball on their run into the tournament. So we're having issues with the phones and no one's calling in, and we're at the 51-minute mark. So we're getting pretty close to calling it a day for this. You guys, if you want to call in, this would be your chance. This is your final call for calls. We got one right here. Oh, I know this familiar face. John, how you doing?
Hey, everybody.
Guys, this is John. John runs the Michigan channel here at the Voice of College Football. You could also find him on Mondays for the Ocho at 8:00 Eastern, 5:00 Pacific, where he's covering the Big Ten. So as you know, Trojans, we're going into the Big Ten. If you want to get your Big Ten information, that would be the stop on the Mark Rogers National channel, hosted by none other than John Deamo. John, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I figured you guys we had the All-Stars call in. We had Will and Jackson. I figured had to join the party here. I just have one question for you guys, and it's kind of a big philosophical question. Okay, so obviously there was so much excitement when Lincoln Riley was announced as the head coach, and we all know that. And especially when Caleb Williams was announced to be coming with him. And I said 11-1 first year. A lot of people called me crazy. Turned out to be 11-1. But obviously the defensive struggles, everything else that, I heard some fans say some silliness like fire Lincoln Riley last year. I think that's silly. But I heard USC people saying that. I'm like, nah. But high level, I mean, deep down, do both of you do USC fans believe, and you could talk about yourselves if you want, like that Lincoln Riley is still the coach that will lead USC to the promised land in terms of getting back to that historical greatness that USC had enjoyed under Carroll and others?
I think, John, there's a good chance, but I'm not thinking like it's just a matter of when, not if. I'm not there yet. Like, I don't think it's a lock. And I think the one lingering uncertainty is offensive line coach Josh Henson. And really,
yes,
Josh Henson is tied into Benny Wiley, the strength coach that Riley has hitched his wagon to. And I think 2024 is such a huge season at USC precisely because we're going to find out if Josh Henson and Benny Wiley are for real. And the reminder about Benny Wiley, I mean, I know a lot of USC fans have already heard me say this, but for you and for other Michigan fans, other outside fans, what's really important here is that, Benny Wiley, his reputation is on the line specifically because USC's offensive line didn't make the grade last year. And I focus on the offensive line because if the offensive line wasn't good, that means it wasn't just an Alex Grinch problem, right? That is a key point, that it wasn't, I mean, as bad as the defense was. And of course, Alex Grinch was reason number one why 2023 was a crash and burn year for USC and Lincoln Riley. As much as Alex Grinch was reason number one why everything fell apart, the fact that the offensive line wasn't great means it wasn't just a Grinch thing. And that's why I was and still am skeptical of Benny Wiley, who has not done, in my mind, the best possible job as strength and conditioning coach. So in 2024, we get to see if the offensive line delivers the goods. And if the offensive line delivers the goods under Josh Henson, then it becomes harder to say that 2023 was a Benny Wiley problem. Then it becomes easier to say, it was an Alex Grinch thing. So really, the combination of Henson and Wiley, they have to prove their worth to USC in 2024. And if they do, I think USC is going to be very good. And I would definitely move in the direction of saying Riley will eventually get USC to the mountaintop, but right now, not there yet. And so Henson and Wiley are the guys who need to prove themselves. If they do, then like everything's in alignment for USC. But if not, then Riley needs to consider a new offensive line coach and a new strength coach and get those two pieces of the puzzle, to be upgraded, much as he upgraded the defensive staff this past offseason. And
I've taken my lumps in the comments and on a couple of calls, and Matt and I have kind of gone on this. I am firmly in the camp that it's not Wiley. And when he made the points that he made it very clear. He said, look, you tell me what you want as a staff and I'll give it to you. And it looks like the order that he was given is what we got right away. They came in. I talked about it. I put an article out the other day. We're joining the Big Ten, not the medium 10, right? It's the Big Ten. And he said, we're gonna get them big, and they have to, they're gonna eat and they're gonna lift, and they don't have a choice. That's the way it is. We're gonna bulk them up because that's what Riley wants. He wants bigger players. Hey, you guys, can we bring on a caller? Because I think I fixed the phone issue. John, you want to hang around, take a call with us?
Sure.
All right. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Keith. I'm calling from Irvine, California.
Keith, it's working. You guys hear him okay?
Yep. Hi, Keith.
Oh, we sorted out. All right, awesome, guys. You go ahead and call in, then we'll take a couple more calls before we go. But
okay, Tim, you need to write down whatever it was you did to fix this thing.
You know, I did. You guys ever see that? It was an old English show. It was called the IT or something. I'll tell you about. I can't remember what it's called. But whenever they call the IT department, right? These guys answer, "Have you reset your computer?" Because that's the first thing they ever say, right? Have you reset it? I just reset the soundboard, and it was a soundboard. So I guess maybe next time I'll just turn around 3 times and spin on the ground and reset it, and then maybe it'll work, because sometimes this thing's got some voodoo to it. So I'm sorry, caller. Go ahead. What's on your mind tonight?
No, it's all good. I would like to think of myself as a good luck charm. And as we have a guest, we have Mr. John here visiting us. I just want to say, with all due respect, as he is an American, I can't wait to kick Michigan's candy asses. Okay,
and you shouldn't. You should be excited.
There's some good spots, John. So there's some good spots in LA to come eat. You come down to Orange County, you come eat. We're one of the top culinary places in the world. So you can do us all a favor and drop the 3 best places to eat in the Ann Arbor area, because I'm not finding too much on Yelp. And so that when we go to the big house, okay, and we put the smack down on the Wolverines, because look, you guys aren't killing plays anymore, John. Hardball is gone. All right, so you guys are gonna slide back down into mediocrity.
All right.
Guess who's gonna be then?
Tell us how you really feel.
All right. Hey, listen. Remember, this is my buddy John. He's coming here as a guest, so let's bring it. Let's show him some Trojan hospitality. But I like the energy you're bringing. But and
no,
I'll be there.
I'll
hopefully I'll be there the big house with you. So John, what do you think? Where are we eating if we're going to Ann Arbor?
Well, first of all, I love it. I love the energy. I respect it, and I hope we build a nice little USC Michigan rivalry. Let's do it. But yeah, so also, by the way, love your In-N-Out. I think that's a fantastic establishment. But also from the Ann Arbor side. So the classic go-to answer, Zingerman's, but that's like the one everybody says, and that they have a great Reuben. I like so there's a place called Palio. This is an Italian place, and underneath Palio is a dessert bar, a cigar bar called La Dolce Vita. And you've got cigars, you've got you could do a cognac in there and just celebrate good times. Okay, so you got La Dolce Vita, highly recommend. Sava's another one on State and Liberty. So check that out. So there's 3 for you that I like. I know people say other things, but those were some of my go-tos when I was there.
Anything else for John and me, or any other thoughts on the USC smackdown of the Wolverines? Yeah, go ahead.
One more question. Hey, John, thank you for being a good sport about this.
Absolutely.
It's awesome. So let's say SC rolls into Ann Arbor, right? What's it like to stay there, or do you stay on the outside of town? And would you recommend people coming from the West Coast to get there a day early to hit these spots because they'll be too packed? You guys pack a lot of people in the stadium, but I imagine a lot of people are coming from around the state to get to the game day on Saturday. So if you could just talk to me about where like visiting fans usually stay and what we can expect for the tailgating atmosphere, I'll take the answer off the call. Thank you.
Great call. Thanks for calling.
I appreciate that, and certainly, I am honored to be acting as Wolverine tour guide and travel agent for everybody here. So I'm thinking there was one that I stayed at in kind of like near like the North Campus area. Not right there, but close. That was a hotel, and the name escapes me, but they had a bus, so they were on the Ann Arbor bus line where literally you could take the bus and get dropped off at the gates of the stadium. So I found it and I went there, and I can't think of the name now, but definitely couple solid hotels. On the outskirts. The ones in Ann Arbor proper are going to be a fortune because either it's being utilized by players or, fans and people who are coming to travel, which there are going to be a lot of, I imagine, because I feel like USC travels pretty well. So, can't think of the name off the top of my head. My bad.
But John, let me intervene here. This is we haven't had an announced kickoff time, but one would think this will be a Fox Big Noon Saturday game, most likely. So what's the inside tip for visiting fans attending a noon game as opposed to a 3:30 game or a night game? Is there anything particular that visiting fans have to deal with in terms of the traffic patterns, the getting to the stadium for a nooner as opposed to a mid-afternoon or a night game?
Yeah, I mean, traffic's going to be rough regardless of what you do. The more I think about it, the more I really like what I did when I visited. And so, there's a couple of, like I said, there's a couple of hotels that maybe it was the Graduate. Yeah, Jason, I know it was one of those types. But there's a couple of hotels, and it's not just the one I went to, but a couple of them that will drop you off right by the stadium. So, and in my case, right on the gate. So I would do that over traffic. Unless you must drive your own car, which I know some people are like that. So, as far as traffic goes, I mean, look, I worked at the Starbucks on State and Liberty, and I don't remember any difference in fluctuation between the 10 or 11 or the later ones. It's just they got a little bit they definitely let out a lot more. The liquid had been being consumed a little more, but that's about it. I mean, it's 100,000 people. It's excitement. Go in with the band. If you can go in with the band, go in with the band. It's a once in a lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to try it by hook or crook, get to that game. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm telling you, John, I'm going to be at that game. I'm going to wrangle some type of credential to try to get in because I know the ticket price is going to be through the freaking roof. But I'm sure the credential requests are also going to be through the roof. So we'll see how that works out.
Yep. Well, it should be a good game. I'm excited just to have more marquee matchups in the Big Ten for more time slots. because every time slot now, noon, 3:30, whatever, you're going to get 2 brands that you probably care about, and you're not going to be stuck with, no offense, but like Indiana Northwestern, and you don't have a lot of options. So that's the exciting thing about all 4 of y'all coming in.
Hey, I dipped out, and I want to make sure. So we got Adam, we got Lemansky, we got second out Adam too. Did we get Willie's super chat?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, I put it up there.
Oh, did we talk about it?
We didn't talk about it.
Thank you, Adam. Night Steakhouse. Yes, that I love Night Steakhouse.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Matt. You did talk about it or you did not?
Didn't.
Okay.
I mean, we did talk about Fight on Rusty's thread about Caleb being a great teammate. We didn't directly talk about the smear campaign. We didn't talk about that.
Well, I want to honor Willie because Willie is a weekly contributor, not only in the chat, but also financially. Willie, thank you so much for super chat. To complete trash being spewed about Caleb is so gross. I think that's disturbing. Disgusting that some media members have credentials after the horrible questions being asked. Caleb deserves better. I do understand the overwhelming Caleb hate. I mean, some people feel that, whether it be the guy was the one I saw, because obviously I was at work today, but the one I saw, the guy was asking him questions about his fingernails. Still, are you get the NFL? Are you going to paint your nails? It's like, what rock does this guy live in? It's not only Caleb that does this. There's 20-year-olds and teenagers and even NBA players and college basketball players that do this. These guys got to wake up a little bit. But also, he had some fun. I don't know if you guys caught it on Twitter. He was having fun because Brendan Rice was up there, for the combine, and he was, taking interviews. And Caleb jokingly walks up, is asking him questions. And you know what people did instead of his quarterback joking around about his receiver? Like, oh, the narcissism is unreal and blah blah. It's not gonna be all about Caleb stealing his moment. When they don't stop to think that these guys are 20-year-old friends that are just messing with each other, and they have nothing better to do than to talk negatively and make it say, oh, this is about his character. So, Willie, I wish you'd give me a little more context of what they're saying, but it doesn't shock me that people, even in the media, are not exempt from saying stupid things to people. So
he was asked, are you afraid to compete? He really was asked that at the combine today. Like just a totally insulting question. So I think that's where Willie's coming from.
Can you walk people, just in case people are, just joining you might have somebody here that's just getting acquainted with the sport or whatever. Can you walk me through kind of why that, like, some of the top quarterbacks do choose to go with their own, kind of home turf versus the combine? Because I have noticed that happening a bit.
The main thing, John, is they're throwing to their own wide receivers, so that just gives them a comfort zone. It gives them the idea of like they know what to expect. It just gives them more certainty and solidity. And I would say beyond this, Caleb Williams is saying, I'm not going to release my medical information to all 32 NFL teams. And I'm not a combine junkie. I don't follow this stuff in depth. Wait a minute. Previous prospects were sharing their medical information with all 32 teams? As opposed to the handful or 10, maybe dozen teams that were interested in them. So that's a revelation. And why should they share medical information with all 32 NFL teams? That's pretty pointless. And 32 NFL team doctors have been asking players questions. I didn't know that. Again, I don't follow that stuff very deeply. Caleb Williams is standing up not just for himself, but a lot of other college prospects. And hopefully this combine process will be reformed because, come on, not all 32 teams are picking a quarterback, a linebacker, name your position in the top 10, top 15. They shouldn't be sharing their medical information with all 32 teams. It should just be the teams that are legitimately interested in them. If you have an interest in a player, yes, you should get the medical information. But if you're not a consideration, like Caleb Williams, he's not going to the San Francisco 49ers. He's not going to the Chiefs. He does not need to give his medical information to the 49ers, the Chiefs, the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott. Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love. Like, this was a thing? This was actually happening? So Caleb Williams is kind of shedding light on this process, actually.
And he's also, I guess you would throw, and a lot of guys, like there's certain things that a lot of guys don't do at the combine. Why? Because they don't have to, right? If you're that tweener, if you're trying to improve your stock or whatever, I think Caleb Williams really has nothing to gain, and let's say he has a bad throwing day, because let's face it, anyone's ever played sports, golf, even shooting free throws, right? You could have a bad night. You could have a bad day. So why is he going to show? He's shown, people always focus in on his legs and his running, but the guy can throw from obviously multiple platforms, and he's got a big arm, and he's shown everyone all they need to see about his ability to throw the ball on the move. So I guess the point is, John, there's just no upside for him to throw. There's no need for him to throw, I guess would be the point.
And by the way, I'm seeing a comment from Roger Dodger. Only 5 is what I heard. Roger Dodger, I don't know if 5 means the number of NFL teams that are interested in Caleb Williams, but I saw something earlier today in terms of the combine coverage. Jets, Giants, Falcons, Commanders, Bears, Raiders, Vikings, Falcons. Those are the teams that I've seen mentioned as being interested in Caleb Williams. So 8 teams. Let's go over again. Raiders, Vikings, Patriots, Giants, Jets, Commanders, Bears, Falcons. Those are the 8 teams that are interested in Caleb Williams. So, he shouldn't be releasing his medical information to the other 24 teams. Those are the 8 teams that are interested. Those are the 8 teams that should get his medical information.
And another super chat from Adam wants your endorsement, Matt, for return of the Kiff. He wants Lane Kiffin. He wants him back. He wants the Denny's menu and Lane Kiffin coming back to the sidelines of USC. What do you think, Matt?
Adam, let's see what Josh Henson and Benny Wiley do this year, and then we'll talk in December.
I don't know what to do with you guys. Okay. And then we have another Adam. The big house is like a library. John, not loud at all. What a disgrace.
When did you go? What game? I have so many questions.
Where to begin?
Maybe he went during the Gary Moeller era or the Rich Rod era.
Oh, you know what? It was probably Rich Rod. Then okay, I can understand that. We weren't winning. There was literally a 3-9 season in there. At Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, had to be it. That had to be it.
And that's it for
really, ask Ohio State how friendly the big house is. Ask Ryan Day how friendly the big house is.
I mean, how quiet can 107,000, 108, what is 106, whatever, 100 and change thousand people be in a stadium? It's north of 105. I know that. So I mean, you're right.
DJ Stroud couldn't conquer the big house. Marvin Harrison Jr. couldn't conquer the big house. I think that's a pretty formidable home stadium there.
But I hope it's quiet by the second quarter.
By the second quarter, I'd say fourth quarter, Tim. Come on.
Well, listen, I've seen, here's the thing, right? I've seen some Lincoln Riley teams blown out early in games, right? In big games they have. The playoff games, right? But I've also seen USC just take the air out of stadiums as with Lincoln Riley. If you get in there and you just come at them, like I'll say this. People don't remember, but when USC played Utah in that conference, I was there in Vegas for the Pac-12 championship game. USC jumped out all over that Utah team, and Utah got some great fans. Right, we know the must travels. These guys are just legit fans. You could have heard a pin drop when USC was on offense. That's all I'm going to say.
Mean, USC won the first half in those games. It didn't win the game.
Right.
So I'm focused on the fourth quarter.
Well,
like Pete Carroll. Can you win a game in the first quarter? No. Can you win a game in the second quarter? No.
But the caveat here, Matt, is Caleb did get hurt. That's why they lost that game. I mean, really.
But I mean,
We
you
could
want to
argue
be up
that-
in the
that
fourth quarter.
fans.
And Tim, Clay Helton, he couldn't coach his way out of a wet paper bag in general, but especially not in third quarters.
Oh, and by the way, I'm not saying it's gonna happen to either one of you. I'm not saying USC is gonna quiet the crowd. I'm saying I would love to see it. Is what I'm trying to say.
I'm just saying
I think they need to get
what
that crowd
matters
out of the game
is
early.
I'm just saying what matters is having a silent opposing crowd in the fourth quarter, not the second. That's all.
Yeah. USC is going to go in there with I would say that that'd be his fourth start for Miller Moss.
Miller.
He'll have played, correct? Because it's game 3. He played the bowl game.
Yeah.
Well, but he played the bowl game. I'm counting that one. So that's 4. So it'll be the 4th game he'll be playing.
Third of the season. Coming off a bye, coming off an off week after Utah State on the 7th, off week, then Michigan on the 21st.
And I would say that I think one of the strongest parts of Miller Moss's game, and I don't know him, I've only heard him talk, but it just seems like he walks that walk too. He's the kind of guy that has a lot of real confidence in himself. And so agreed, I don't care how confident you are, you walking into the big house is going to be incredibly intimidating. But if there's going to be a first-year starting quarterback, I want to be, a third-year guy with 3 springs under his belt and exudes that kind of confidence that Miller Moss has. So it'll be interesting to see it. But I do think that they're going to need to take the crowd out of that game for sure. Well, I think we've done it, you guys. We've been on here for a little over an hour now. We fixed the phone. Isn't that right? We fixed the phone line that nobody calls.
There
Matt.
it is.
John, that's the that's the wonders of live YouTube. Is that stuff's going to happen?
I know very well.
Okay, so John, what do you have coming up on the Ocho for this coming Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern?
So the Patreon and YouTube members voted, and they said we would like to see Iowa. So Iowa is currently in place. So I'm working on a few potentials for guests. So stay tuned on that. I won't be hosting Michigan live. So Mark Rogers, the voice of college football, will be your host Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. You're not going to want to miss that.
Looking forward to it, John.
All right. Well, and then we cannot have a show or a week go by. Unfortunately, I missed the Monday show.
Roll it.
And I wasn't here. So we just have to do, since NCAA, look, you're taking your lumps right now. And I've been trying to help you for the better part of, I don't know how many months. I've lost count of how many months. Dude, Baker, you need to do this. You need to take the low-hanging fruit and give the man his goddamn trophy back. Okay? It'll get out in front of history. You're not the one that took it away, but you can be the one before the entire NCAA implodes. Give Reggie Bush back his Heisman Trophy that he earned on the field. The rules and the law is on the side of Reggie Bush. So if the rule was bad then because it was illegal, it's illegal now. It was illegal then. Make sure you give him his trophy back. So we're going to call it a night. Thank you all for being here. Remember, every Friday, catch us here on a Conquest call-in show. You can catch us also Monday night with Mark and Matt and myself for the Trojan Conquest live show. That's on at 7, new time, 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern, if you want to catch us for that USC show. And I promise next time we will actually have a working phone line so we can start from the beginning. I think, did we just break a streak? Is this the first time we ever heard from Gary? I think it's the first time we ever heard from Gary, and it's not his fault. I didn't have the phone line.
Yeah,
so
the phone lines.
This one has an asterisk, Gary. This has an asterisk.
Gary still supported us with the super chat.
I do appreciate it. I know, but I didn't get to hear
SoCal Sports Dad. We've been on for an hour 14. That's not early.
We love hearing you guys again. I look forward to it. It's my fault that the phone line wasn't working. We will have it going for next time. Make sure you guys, if you haven't already, we hit our 5,000. We're still trying on our way to the road now is 10,000. Hit that subscribe button. Appreciate you all being here. Again, Monday night, new time, 7 p.m. And Matt and I will see you with Mark on Monday. Everybody fight on.